Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today I am in a different place. Obviously I'm in my room and I have some very light piano music playing in the background because today I'm going to tell you guys how I cope with discrimination, and some of this might get really emotional, so I just need to chill out. Let's jump into it. So, growing up, a lot of people asked me a lot of different questions, had a lot of different assumptions that they made, and the hardest thing for me to learn was how to understand, to respectfully tell somebody that they're making me uncomfortable. And so, discrimination, a lot of people are faced with it, whether it's race, whether it's a disability you have, whatever it may be, we're all faced with it in some way or another. And so, a lot of people think that when I say the discrimination is different when you're blind, they're like, no, it's not. It's not different. It is. Believe me, it is. Because you have to really, already as a blind person, you have to put yourself out there so much more. And so when you're putting yourself out there and you're using your voice to advocate, sometimes people look at you and say, well, they're weak. Let me just push them around and so sometimes for me, what I have to do is remind myself that if somebody doesn't accept me the way that I am, keep it pushing. So when I want to say 2 years ago, I was trying to apply for this internship, and I have a friend who worked at this radio station. Gonna leave the name of the radio station out just because I don't want to have to explain any deeper the whole thing that went on. So basically what happened was I was applying, and I had a friend who worked on the station, so she was trying to get me internships to work on that radio station because my major is communications and digital media. And so she knew that I really wanted something that was in the media field, something that I liked. And so, of course, I would shadow her. Sorry, my hair is like in my face and it's kind of annoying. Okay. Anyways, so she was trying to get me this internship. And so I came up to the studio. I saw her and I was like, hey, what's up? We caught up and everything. And I went in and I was like, everything is going so great. Everything is great. This is going to be a great interview. I'm going to be fine. Nothing's going to go wrong. And I got this in the bag, right? And my brother was waiting outside for me. He was like, just text me when you're done. I was like, okay. So I'm sitting in this interview and they start asking me like, how would you be able to work with us? And I'm like, well, I have an iPad. I have a laptop that has voiceover on it. I also have the laptop, like my MacBook has Windows on it. And so they were like, okay, but like if we needed you to use our computer, I was like, well, if it's a MacBook, that would be fine. But if it's Windows, like there's a whole process. You need to have NVDA or JAWS on it. There's a whole thing. And so they were like, okay, what about Street Team? Because Street Team is where you go out, you interview people in person, you meet different people, you talk to different people about audience, like the audience for all of these different artists. So I was like, well, see, I wouldn't have an issue with that. I'm perfectly fine with conversating with people. I am good at that. That is part of communications. And that is what I pride myself on, is being able to speak clearly and pronunciate everything in a right way. Pronunciate, I don't... See what I mean? Sometimes you get messed up. Messed up. So I was like, well, you know what? That wouldn't be an issue at all. Okay. Alexa, lower volume. Okay. So I was like, that would not be an issue, right? Like, I'm fine with that. And they were like, okay, so do you have any questions or any issues? And of course, I had questions. Like, my question was like, well, for the street team, would I at least be able to get assistance to get to wherever I need to be? They were like, no, like, you would pretty much have to do all of that on your own. Like, if we sent you out, you would have to figure out how to do that on your own. So already this is a red flag for me, right? Because it's not about the conversating part. It's about the traveling. It's about the making sure I'm in a safe place, making sure that whoever's with me knows how to properly assist me. And so I had a concern because I have an older brother who drives. He's not always in town, so he can't always, like, drive me places if I need it. And it's not to say that I don't have other people that could help me out, but I panicked because I'm like, well, I'm gonna still need assistance to get to that place. Because if it's a new place, I don't know where it is. Whoever's driving me isn't gonna know where it is. Obviously, they have sight, but, like, how are they supposed to know who I'm supposed to meet with, who I'm supposed to go talk to, who I'm supposed to interview? Like, none of that is clear. None of that was clear to me. And so I was like, well, I don't really have an issue. So I told them that. And they were like, okay, great. And so I was like, awesome, thank you. So they're like, we'll reach out to you in a few weeks. And so obviously I went about my business, school, whatever. I was in college. Yeah, this was last year, I think. 2 years ago, so I was a freshman. So, or like beginning of sophomore year. So, I was just focusing on school and stuff, and so I was like, alright, great. And then I waited and waited and waited, and I texted my friend who worked at the station. I was like, hey, like, I feel like it went great. I don't really know how they felt about me. And she was like, why? I'm sure you did a great job. Like, you're a really good person for this type of job. Like, you have the personality for media and television and radio and all of this stuff. And so I'm like, thank you, but of course, in the back of my mind, I'm still worrying about that car horn is annoying, I'm sorry. But I was still concerned about how is it gonna work. Like, I hope that they don't, like, try to push me away because of my disability. And that is the hardest thing to deal with when you are a disabled person. Because you work so hard and you're just as capable as a sighted person. And yet you get pushed away because people don't think that you're capable enough. They don't think that you are smart enough to stand up to the task. And I eventually got an email from the person. So they didn't even call me, they just emailed me. Which I'm happy about because I was able to keep the email and send it to my friend. And so they emailed me and pretty much said, hi Gabby, we are so sorry to inform you that we decided that we don't think that you would be a good fit for this position. And then there was something they could have just said because of your disability, but they tried to reword it in a way that wasn't trying to be like it because of your disability. But that's pretty much what they said. And so I was really sad because for the longest I was trying to be on radio. I was really trying to put myself out there and get out there and really try, and I got turned down. And of course, in life, you're always going to be turned away from something, whether it's an internship, a job, whatever. So I immediately FaceTimed my friend. I'm like, hey, I need to speak to you because I want to show you this email. I don't feel like this was properly thought out on their end because they tried to mask the fact that because of my disability, I basically got turned away. So I sent her this email, and she was in shock. Like, she was just like, why? Why? Like, why would they turn you away? Now, there's a whole percentage of the disabled community, blind individuals especially, who are unemployed. And the unemployment rate for blind individuals is really, really high. I think it's like 85%, close to 90%. So that like 10% or that 15% is like really, really lucky, because half of the time a lot of us don't get employed. And dealing with discrimination, how I cope with it, is not the same way that you or your friends or my blind friends might deal with it. I say this all the time because we all blind individuals live their lives differently, and they all cope with their disability in a different way. But the way that we deal with the disrespect, the discrimination, all of the stereotypical things that we get on a daily basis, sometimes I might feel the same way as my friend. And that's one thing that I can say for sure that a lot of us bond over, is the fact that we try so hard. And I'm speaking on my behalf. I'm not speaking about other blind individuals. I'm not speaking about my friends. But for me personally, it really hurts me because I know what I'm capable of. And I know what I can do. And I know the type of work that I can put out. And so when you are trying your hardest to accomplish something and you've been working at it for so long, and the minute that somebody turns you away, you immediately know it's because of your disability. It's because you're different. It's because to that person, you're not capable of achieving what they need you to do. They don't see you as a normal human being. They think that we're less than they are. And so you can kind of see why I'm feeling like emotional right now. I feel like there's not enough awareness in this world where people can understand the lifestyle, where people can understand the issues, the misconceptions, the stereotypes, the discrimination, the disrespect, the treatment that blind individuals are faced with. I have dealt with it for so long. Losing that internship, part of me was like really sad for a while. But I had to tell myself, you know what? They didn't want you. They didn't want you and they didn't deserve you. And eventually when you find the right internship, you find the right job, those people are going to deserve you, and those people are the people that are going to want you to work in their company. And so losing that internship, that was one example of discrimination. I feel that making friends can sometimes be a form of discrimination for blind individuals because, again, I say this all the time. Sighted people don't like to accept someone that they think is quote-unquote different from them. Alexa, lower the volume. Sorry. They don't like to accept someone who's different from them. They feel intimidated to approach us. They feel like, oh, I don't want to talk to that person. We have nothing in common. They don't like to hang out with friends. They don't like to go to the mall, go shopping. They don't like to watch movies. They don't like to go to parties. They don't like to interact with human beings. We are all human beings. Everybody needs to connect with each other in one way or another. So when you turn down somebody with a disability, think about how it would make you feel if you were in their shoes and somebody turned you away, said you couldn't hang out with them, said you couldn't talk to them, said you couldn't do this. Think about it. A lot of the time in this world, we are so focused on building up the bonds that we share with our friends, right? Because I know that that's how it is, but I've learned how to open up and be more social with people. Step out of my comfort zone, because I've been bullied as a kid. I had to sit on my own. I was isolated. I was an outcast. And so when I find people who feel that way, I understand that it's not easy and it's hard for them. And that's why I'm always trying my best to educate everybody. Whether you come across my channel because you're scrolling, whether you are subscribed to me, whatever. I'm always trying my best to educate people in the way that I know how to, in the best way that I know possible. Because I know what it's like for me. I know what my life is like. I know what I'm capable of. I know what I'm not capable of. And I know what it feels like to be discriminated and disrespected. I know how those things feel. Because when you lose your sight at such a young age, yeah, it's harder for you. It's so hard. It's so hard to be able to teach yourself to live a life where you don't have one of your senses. You can't see. I know people who have lost their sight when they got older. And believe me, it's not easy. It's still not easy. It doesn't matter what age you are. It doesn't matter your race. It's still not easy to go about life living without something that you know. And so I wanted to just share one of my stories, one of my many, many stories of being discriminated. I wanted to share with you the way that I feel in moments like that. What I try to do to remind myself that I am perfect the way that I am. I am worth all that I can get. Everything that comes into my life, all of the good opportunities that come into my life, I am worth having that, and I deserve that. And so if you have ever felt like you were being mistreated, like something wasn't okay, like you were being underestimated, you have the right to use your voice and speak up about it. Don't close yourself out and don't shy away from those feelings, because those feelings are important. And those people who discriminate against you and disrespect you, you know what? Eventually, you're going to be doing a great job at whatever it is that you want to do. And they're going to be sitting there looking at you going, well, why didn't I take the opportunity to get to know this person? Why didn't I take the opportunity to hire this person? Why didn't I try to understand their life? Try to understand what it's like for them. So please know that this was not to be a sad video, but know that this was also very educational, and I hope that you guys did learn a lot from this. Because it's hard. It's really hard. And I don't like when people tell me that being blind and being discriminated against is not the same as being discriminated against in any other sense. you're right. It may not be the same in any other sense because of your race, but sometimes it is. Sometimes they overlap. Sometimes you're black and you're blind. Sometimes you're Hispanic and you're blind. But sometimes people that don't understand it will never understand it. No matter how hard you try to educate them and let them know. So I hope that this was a way for you guys to understand some of my deeper, more, like, what's the word? I'm always like an energetic person. You guys know this. I'm sure right now in this video you're probably like, damn, her energy's like so off. But these stories are a part of my life. They're things that happened to me, and I just felt like it was important to share those with you. So I hope that you learned something from this story time. And if you want to see more, if you have questions, let me know. I will answer them. And I will see you guys next time. Thank you.
Stop. 21 minutes. Stop recording video.